Hey, it's Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com and welcome to episode 3 of the Buy or DIY series, which happens every Monday here on the Eco Vegan Gal channel. The way these videos work is I tell you about 3 vegan products that I love, and then I share with you how to make it. Why? Because I know some of you love going out and buying products. You want to know all the recommendations, you'll order them online or you'll find them in a local store. Awesome. Or some of you actually much prefer to make things at home. You want to save money, you like less processed foods, or perhaps you even live in an area where you don't have access to the actual packaged food that I'm talking about, and you don't mind getting into the kitchen to make it yourself. Whoever you are, whichever category you fall into there, this video series is for you. I've received such great feedback in the first 2 episodes. Thank you so much for all your supportive comments. And one suggestion that at least one person has made is adding in some recipes. One person said, well, what's the point of this video series? I could just look at the ingredients and figure out how to make this myself. I'm not a big recipe person. If you've been following Eco Vegan Gal since it started in 2008, I do very occasional recipe videos and even less frequent recipe posts on EcoVeganGal.com. It's just not my passion. However, I do like to make food and I like to experiment and I want to make you happy. So here's that happy medium. What if I just tell you how to make it, I give you the measurements and I don't actually show you? The reason being, it takes so much time to do a recipe video. I'm doing this production all on my own and it's just more time that I want to invest in this. But if I tell you the measurements and link to recipes down below, how does that sound to you? Let me know, give me some feedback. And if I need to pause these videos and wait until I have more production value, I can do that too. But I want to keep them going every Monday. So today I have 3 different products. 2 of them I have recipes with the exact measurements that you're going to need. And one of them is so basic I went ahead and did a quick little recipe demo for you. This first one is a product that I was really into this past week. I found it at a local store in Los Angeles and I went back and bought it again a few days later. It was that good. That is the gluten-free Goji berry brownie from Evo Fast Food. This is made from almost entirely organic ingredients and it retails for about $4.69 at the store where I got it. It is one of the best brownies I ever remember having. It is super moist, it's huge, it takes up this whole container, and it's so good there are only a few little crumbs left. I'm surprised I didn't lick all the crumbs out. The chocolate's so rich and the goji berries are in there, they're kind of chewy. If you've never had a goji berry before, they're really great superfood snacks. They're bright red, you can eat them plain or you can mix them into desserts like this. So then I went online and tried to find a recipe for this, and I actually did find one goji berry gluten-free vegan brownie, but it didn't have the exact ingredients. I'm gonna link to it down below for you if you want to just skip to that part. But I have a few suggestions for how I think you could make almost this exact same recipe. So let's jump into that. Start off with 3/4 of a cup of brown rice flour. This one is from 1 Degree Foods, a brand I love. I don't have any tapioca flour, but you'll just need about 1/4 of a cup of that. 1/2 cup of cocoa or cacao powder, teaspoon of salt, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/3 cup of coconut sugar or whatever organic unprocessed sugar that you want to use, 3 tablespoons of molasses. You could probably skip this, but they probably included it in the brownie for moisture, for flavor, and maybe even for the iron content. 2 to 4 tablespoons of a neutral tasting baking oil, like coconut oil would be my personal preference. Or you could skip that and use about 1/4 cup of your favorite dairy-free milk, and or a 3/4 cup of applesauce. This is where it could get a little bit tricky and you might want to follow another recipe for specifics. 1/2 cup of chocolate chips, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. You could use an extract, you could use some vanilla powder, a teaspoon of cinnamon. I've got a nice big bag here and if you get one of these, they will last a very long time. A tablespoon of carob. I actually found it in bulk, which you can probably too, or just look in the baking section of a natural market. And this adds a nice caramel flavor and actually cuts down on how much sweetener you need to use in your baking mix. And then you can toss in about 1/3 cup of goji berries, or maybe even a little bit more depending on how much you'd like. And you could probably use any berries, skip it all together. You could swap it out for nuts like walnuts. That's where you you want to get creative. And then if you want to follow this goji berry brownie recipe exactly, you're going to add in some almond extract, or you could pretty much use any extract you wanted. Depending on what the other ingredients are, you could add in some mint extract, you could use some hazelnut extract. You probably want to experiment with how much, but I would start with about 1 teaspoon. And that's it for that recipe. So, as you can see, it's a little more complicated than I wanted to get here because I'm not a baker, but as I mentioned, I linked to some recipes in the description field for you to try out, and I would love to hear if any of you nail this, because I bet it's so much more affordable than buying a brownie for almost $5. I bet you could get down the cost per brownie to around $1. Let me know if you succeed with that. I got a suggestion from one of you to include chia pod in one of these buy or DIY episodes, and I'm happy to do that because I think it's a really delicious product. I don't have it on hand right now, but I'll put an image of it right here for you to see if you're unfamiliar. You can find it in a lot of natural markets like Whole Foods. They're really tasty. They retail for just over $3. They're in a plastic container, and they're super simple ingredients. So I would say make this at home for sure. It's a lot less complicated than that brownie I just talked about. And I actually have 2 chia recipes on ecovegangal.com. I'll link to those right down below. One of them is a mint chocolate chia seed pudding, and the other one is a vanilla one, which I'm adapting for this recipe. I'm actually making it even simpler. All you're gonna need is a cup of your favorite milk. I use this one from Omega, which I think you can just get in California. Correct me if I'm wrong. It is so fantastic. It's made from flax, rice, and hemp, and you could actually make this yourself too. I promise I will do that in an upcoming video. Or you can just use whatever milk you want. You can actually use a rice milk, a hemp milk, or a flaxseed milk. You can find almost all of those in stores. You can use a coconut milk, an almond, whatever you like taste-wise and whatever's easy for you to find and affordable. You put a cup of that milk in a blender, followed by your sweetener and some vanilla, or both together. If you're doing them separately, you can put a teaspoon of vanilla extract or vanilla powder, then add in a tablespoon of liquid or granulated sweetener, or you could combine them together and do a vanilla stevia like I did in this case. I have this one from Omega, which I've mentioned in the past. It's an organic liquid stevia vanilla flavor, and I just added in 3 drops of it. Blend that all together in the blender and then add in your chia seeds. You're gonna add in 1/4 of a cup of full-size chia seeds, which you can get in bulk or you can buy online really easily. Blend that up really gently, only for about 5 seconds. Then you pour the mixture into a cup or a bowl, put it in your fridge, and leave it there for at least 30 minutes to an hour. Now, mine has been in there for a couple hours now. Let's pull it out and see how it turned out. So here it is. I'm gonna stir it together. It doesn't have the thickest consistency. I would probably raise the chia seed amount to maybe more towards 1/2 of a cup. Oh, that's great. Now the milk I used already had some vanilla in it, and the stevia is super strong, so those 3 drops were perfect. I'm gonna add in some more chia seeds to this to make it more like a pudding, and I'm probably gonna sprinkle in some coconut, maybe some cacao nibs to just really boost this up. Put it back in the fridge for maybe 10 to 15 minutes and it should be good to go. There are so many ways that you can experiment with chia seeds, so I wouldn't waste your money or the plastic on the chia pods unless they're just a true convenience and every once in a while thing, or you really don't feel like making it at home. They have a lot of different flavors. They have lemon flavors and chocolate and coffee, but just look at the ingredients and you'll definitely be able to mimic them. And for the third product, this is something really savory and can be a great staple in your kitchen. This is a vegan Parmesan, and there are actually a variety of different brands that make these. First, there is Parma with an exclamation point. I've been buying this one for years and years. It's very, very tasty. Then Goji makes one, but this does contain some soy. And lastly, there's Parmala, but I don't think that they make this anymore, which is really sad. They've moved on to making these creamier and block style cheeses, which are really good. Definitely look out for them. For the first two, you should be able to find them in most natural markets and online. Of course, I'll link to it down below in the YouTube description field. They retail anywhere from around $4 to $6.50, and they last a good amount of time, but that's still a little on the pricey side, especially because they are super easy to make at home. All you need is nuts and/or seeds, some nutritional yeast, and some salt. Now, I don't have any nuts on hand, but my favorite nuts to use to make a Parmesan are walnuts. So you want to use about a half a cup to a cup of walnuts, depending on how nutty you want it to be. And almonds work really well in this too, so you could swap them out from one another, or you can add them together. And hemp seeds work really, really well in a Parmesan too, so you can just blend them, giving you about a cup total. Then you want to add in 2 to 5 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, all depending on how cheesy you want it or how much you like nutritional yeast. I like a lot of nutritional yeast, so I definitely add in 5 tablespoons, sometimes even more. And you can find nutritional yeast in any natural market, and probably most markets will have it too. Definitely available online, often a lot cheaper. In fact, I would get all these ingredients online because nuts are much more affordable when you buy them on a website. Then you just get some salt, you put in about a teaspoon, maybe a little bit less, make sure you taste it. Then you just blend it all together in a food processor or any blender that you have until it gets to that great Parmesan-like consistency. You can put it in a container or a little bowl and use it to sprinkle on top your pastas, on your soups. I sometimes will eat it by the spoonful, I'm not lying. It's really, really tasty and so much more affordable. A whole container of that will probably cost you $1 or $2, so you can save a lot of money. All right, those are your 3 products and how to make them at home. They are all listed down below, whether you want to buy them or you want to DIY them. I cannot wait to hear your feedback. What did you think of this version of the DIY series? I know you'd love to see me make them, and one of these days I will do that, but for now, as an in-between, how do you feel about me just telling you the measurements and leaving you some recipes? Let me know in the comment below. Let me know if you've tried any of these, you've made anything similar. I bet some of you have some killer brownie recipes out there, so be sure to link to them right down below so we can all check them out. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, found it inspiring, educational, entertaining, give it a thumbs up. And if this is the first video you've watched on this channel, or for some reason you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that. Thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait to read your comments. I'll see you back again on Monday. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from you on social media. There are links to all the platforms right down below. I'm on Snapchat too, having so much fun there, and I would love to follow you right back. You can visit ecovegangal.com to check out some of the recipes I mentioned today and find some more information about living a healthy, happy life. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.